Hi, my name's Jamie. Today I'm going to be presenting for you a little bit about my video advocacy project on violence against sex workers for Social Justice Studies 200. So I chose to research the topic of violence against sex workers because as a woman who has grown up in BC, I'm concerned with the direct relationship this form of violence has had on Indigenous women and Two-Spirit persons. Moreover, I am aware of instances of violence being committed against sex workers in Vancouver escalating a few months ago, prompting an increase in the sharing of public safety posts on social media. Living in a world where the threat of violence seems to be a part of daily life for many women deeply concerns me. However, when researching a social justice issue pertaining to sex work, I wanted to be sure that I was contributing something useful to the conversation and not just extracting information to reshare. So my approach was to begin with a broad search on violence against sex workers, and this quickly led me to focus in on a topic that has increasingly garnered attention in the literature surrounding sex worker safety, and that's bad date reporting. So specifically, I have kind of focused my advocacy project on the provincial bad date reporting database that is currently under construction. So when it came to choosing my medium, I chose to create a short informational video because I wanted to create a project that would be informative and promote specific action, while understanding that social media advocacy often relies on visually appealing graphics to combat audiences' short attention spans. I chose the format of video advocacy because video can be a tool for mobilizing people to take action, empowering victims of human rights violations, and promoting reconciliation in affected communities. Additionally, I realized there was a knowledge gap between the public and ways in which sex workers were taking agency in their own safety. I'm familiar with bad date reporting from working at a women's resource society on the downtown east side in Vancouver, and therefore I was surprised to find out in another class after we had a presentation from some Peers Victoria outreach workers that most people were not aware that this safety network existed. For my process and design of this advocacy project, I used Canva to create my video, which is a free software online. The design of the program is quite straightforward, so I didn't have too hard of a time creating the video as far as formatting goes. It was my first time using this software to create a video of this kind, so a couple little learning challenges, but overall the process to edit the visual and audio component of my project went pretty smoothly and took about 6 hours to complete. And when designing my video, I wanted to include footage that balanced the feeling of vulnerability with strength. So although the video footage that I chose shows women on the street, I felt that the image of being protected from the rain by the umbrella, and also the notion that the women walking on the street weren't alone and they were together, I felt that both of those video clips kind of signified a sense of protection. And video is effective in part because of the emotional connection viewers are able to forge with the story being told on a screen. So I wanted to utilize the power of video to tell this story of resilience. The music that accompanies this video is from singer Anaknid and is called China Doll. So Anaknid is an Oji Cree and Micmac artist named Kiki Harper. She's an Indigenous Canadian electronic musician based in Montreal, Quebec. I chose this music because highlighting the work of an Indigenous artist was really important to me. Considering the experiences of violence Indigenous peoples have across North America, and specifically due to the ongoing violence Indigenous sex workers have experienced here on the West Coast, I felt that it was important to use music of an Indigenous artist to pay respect and ground the conversation in the need for justice and protection specifically for Indigenous women and Two-Spirit peoples. And then I also chose this music for a few other reasons. The song has a longer intro that really builds, and I often find this kind of music powerful in conveying a message, as it can almost mimic the feeling of like rising emotion in the chest. And finally, I chose this song because of the lyrics. So throughout the semester, we've discussed the importance of art and advocacy, including that of music and poetry. Anachnid's lyrics convey a powerful and emotional message, adding depth to the story that the audience is forming. So for example, I just wanted to read some of the lyrics from this song. Little China doll with a bull in the shop. Don't you fall, 'cause the beat's gonna drop. I'll kick you at the curb until you crack. My eyes roll back into my head, and then they go black. This thread is stained of red. Untangle me, can't go to sleep. So with all projects, definitely found some challenges and limitations while making my video. So New Tactics states that often videos can become short-lived fads. To ensure that they serve their purpose of informing and compelling people to take action, it is necessary to provide an action component to the video and make the viewer feel like they can create change. So the purpose it is meant to serve is a project's call to action. And in this case, I realized that public interaction with the provincial BDR database would be limited considering the confidentiality of bad date reports. They're generally only able to be accessed by organizations that serve sex workers in the community or to individuals approved to be in the SW industry. Therefore, my video's call to action would have to focus on what makes BDR significant and why it's important, by centering sex workers and not the audience in informing the design and use of the database. Just really wanted to focus my video on what sex workers are doing to create safety networks in their communities, and then kind of extend that to how people are able to support that, but while still centering the fact that this is, something that is sex worker centered. So I also recognize that there are limitations with my use of video advocacy in that a real-life campaign would require a great deal of work online to promote and disseminate a video. Today, that usually entails building up a strong presence on social media, which can be a time and labor-intensive aspect of social advocacy in the technology age. My lack of social media presence is a limitation, but it does highlight the valuable insight that sometimes partnering with a well-established organization or initiative can offer a platform for your message to be shared with a wider audience, and this can be a super useful strategy in video advocacy. So audience and intention is an important aspect in the design of a video, and a large part of that is making sure you have a clearly defined audience in mind during production and to make sure the video is appropriate for and understood by the intended audience. New Tactics suggests that test audience are a useful tool in the design process, which is why I plan to have a few friends and colleagues watch the video and provide critiques prior to submission. That way I could make suggested changes to the project, and in this way my community members helped me to refine the creative element of this project to make sure the message was clear and accessible to my intended audience. I've shown the video to a few people, and the reactions I've received have mostly reiterated that knowledge about this safety strategy is not widely spread. I think that beyond the idea of providing an opportunity for people to donate, the video can be a vehicle for social justice in that it adds to the general discourse about sex workers' ability to organize and self-govern. It speaks to the fact that sex workers have the best knowledge about what they need in order to survive and thrive. I think that increasing the discourse surrounding sex workers' ability to protect each other and themselves by making the existence of the provincial BDR database more widely known may combat the impunity those who commit violence feel and actually deter perpetrators from causing harm due to fear of repercussion. So what's the wider significance of this in terms of the practice of social justice? Well, I feel that the way in which BDR is utilized provides a brilliant example of how social justice is practiced in community. and how fostering connection can lead to increased safety and equity. Moreover, I found that this topic is one that is being researched with primarily qualitative ethnographic methods. There are multiple reports listed in the resources for this project that are the product of focus groups and seminars where lived experience is the primary data. Sex workers, policymakers, and outreach workers in the Vancouver and surrounding areas have been integral in informing the needs this database should fill, the barriers that exist in accessing the database, and suggestions to mitigate these issues. So while the database is not public, sharing the knowledge that this safety network exists is still important. So video advocacy really should be part of a larger campaign for awareness, branding, or to enable a specific change or action. The reason that I chose to put my video on YouTube, which is a public platform, is the idea that it could potentially be shared and spread knowledge beyond the classroom. I heard that because my dog tooted while I was filming. So anyways, thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Hi, baby.